Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I am going to do a review of a book by Barbara Moore, Tarot for Beginners. This is a book that I bought online last year, and before buying this book I wanted to see a proper review of how the book looks in the inside, what are the contents, but at that time I did not find any proper video about for this book. So today I decided to make these reviews for those people who are thinking about buying this book online and want to have a look inside before making their mind whether to buy or not. So let's not delay and get into the review. So this is a very beautiful book by Barbara Moore. Colorful on the outside, beautiful cover. Okay, in the inside it is black and white, so you can see, and there are three different tarot deck that she has described in a meaning part. The topmost is the one which we have, the standard tarot deck, Rider-Waite tarot card, and these two are from different tarot deck. So in the contents we have 7 chapters. Then we have the basics, we have the card readings, finding more meanings, adding something extra, developing your skills, spreads, sample readings, and then we have the conclusion followed by appendix. In the introduction we have few pages about how Barbara Moore came across the tarot for the first time during her childhood and how she was attracted, and then she got deeper into tarot. Then we have the first chapter, the basics. In basics she describes learning tarot like learning alphabets. When you learn English language, you learn ABC first, and then you use these letters to form words, and you use words to form lines, sentences, and then paragraphs, and then stories. So learning the meanings of the tarot, learning about tarot is the same thing, she says. Before we can read the story, first we need to know the alphabets, which is the meanings. And then there's a glossary. She says what is meaning of arcana, what is major arcana, minor arcana, court cards, and then she talks about tarot fact and fancy, a little bit of history, like how could have the tarot originated. And then she talks about how she reads the card. I love the way the tarot card feels in my hand as I shuffle them. I love tapping them back into a neat pack after gathering them up. So that sort of thing she writes about in this chapter. Then there's a little ritual, while not necessary, but do play a supportive role if incorporated, she writes. Then we go to a little bit of journaling. She talks about that it's good to keep journals, and she agrees with that part. And there are different types of journals, like blog or traditional journal, or use computer, card or day, free writing, all these things she describes. And then we have the most important part, the card meanings in the second chapter. Okay, so depending on who you ask, the meaning of any card can be summed up in a single word, a sentence, a list of keywords, a paragraph, or an essay. She gives a little bit introduction about the card meanings. Okay, and then she jumps into the meaning for the card. So first is the Fool card. So this is one paragraph. It is all that she writes about the Fool card. Simple lines. I'll read it to you. The Fool. While it is true that every step we take affects our future, the Fool represents a crossroads of major importance. The next step will be the start of a new journey or phase in our lives. As the name implies, the method for deciding this next step easily can be described as foolish by those who prefer a rational approach with lists of pros and cons. Instead of making a detailed plan, the Fool makes the decision intuitively, taking a leap of faith. There is a sense of spontaneity, but in most images the Fool carries a bag indicating some forethought. The Fool represents moving without knowing precisely where we'll end up or how exactly we will get there. On the next page we have the picture of the Fool, 3 different tarot decks. And then we have an important feature of this book, which is the core meaning. Just 2 lines to remember the meaning of the card. The core meaning for the Fool card is the moment before the first step is taken. And then she describes for other two deck. Okay, first one is about the Rider-Waite deck, and then second is the Legacy card, and third is the Shadow States card. So I'll just read it to you what the Universal Weight Fool deck is like. So the fool stands under a shining sun, filling the image with optimism. He looks at the sky as if following a vision. The cliff indicates a potentially dangerous situation. The dog can be providing encouragement or a warning. This fool is confidently following his dreams, but whether they will be ultimately realized is uncertain. So that's how she describes all the major arcana cards, minor arcana cards, and then she has a different section for the court card. Okay, she finishes all the major cards and minor arcana, and then she comes to the court card right from the pages: knights and queens and queens and kings, I mean. So she dedicates one page for the, you know, for what pages mean. Okay, court cards. So what pages is all about, she writes in one page before she goes into individual suit. And then she goes into the individual suit, page of wands, page of cups, and so on. And similarly for the kings and queens and knights. And after the meanings, we find there is another chapter, finding more meaning. Okay, so she talks about numbers like tens, the situation is all over. Aces, threes, the situation is just beginning or in the early stages. And she talks about reversals, and adding something extra is at the fourth chapter. She talks about creating a secret space, and then cleansing and storing your cards. And then fifth chapter, I like this chapter, developing your skills. So it's like she talks of experimenting with your cards, and talks that context is everything. So there's a sample question like, should I, there's a dash, and it can be filled by get a new job, dump my boyfriend, date so and so on, move to Paris. Okay, so she talks about like aces is a window of opportunity that won't last long, twos a decision, fours a stable or stagnant situation, fives means conflicts, pages means a message, knights things are moving very quickly. So these are the contents of this chapter. And then she talks about spreads in the sixth chapter. There's a one card spread, there's three card spreads, Celtic cross, it's a picture of Celtic cross. Okay, and there is a life spread. So we're coming to the end of the book. Then we have in the seventh chapter sample readings. She has done a 3-card reading. She changes the question, like how the context changes and how the answer comes about. And that's pretty much it, the sample and this conclusion at the end. And we have the appendix. In the appendix we have some table or whatever, column or whatever we call it, like major, she talks about major arcana card and astrological association and Hebrew letter. And in the next page, the Micah arcana correspondence, she talks about the suit and the season it depicts, like wands means spring, cups means summer, swords mean fall, pentacle means winter. Okay, and also the color, like wands mean yellow color, cups mean red color, swords means blue color, pentacles mean green color. So that's pretty much it. And this book is like compact, and the information is not so overwhelming as I've heard one of the tarot readers describe it. And if you want to buy this book, then I would suggest that, you know, it's a good investment for beginners. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my book review. This was the first book review. I hope it was good enough for you. Thank you. Keep watching.